I had something.
My poor kids got the flu all the time.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order and ask that you stand to salute the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By way of announcements, just a couple of announcements before we get going. First of all, I wanted to congratulate our currently acting building commissioner, Nick Chanks, who just completed his third test to be certified as a building commissioner, and will be certified by the International Code Council. He's to pass 3 tests in a row like that is pretty commendable and quite frankly unheard of. Usually the last test is what usually trips people up, but Nick was able to pass that, so we wish him well and look forward to him being transitioned to the permanent building commissioner. In addition, just a reminder that the Friday, April 4th is the retiree luncheon, 11:30 at the Council on Aging. Saturday, April 5th, beginning at 8 a.m., we are conducting the perambulation of the bounds for the town. We'll begin at the Abington-Whitman town line near Danica Drive in Whitman, and we'll be transversing the town to locate and mark all the town bounds as required by statute. Just a reminder, Monday, April 7th, is the annual town meeting beginning at 7 p.m. at Abington High School. And April 26th, Saturday, April 26th, is the annual town election, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I believe you probably can check with the town clerk. I don't know if the ballots are back yet, but you can vote absentee early, at her office if you cannot make it on the 26th. With that said, is there any other announcements from members of the board?
Yes, just a reminder, the Abington Celebrates Townwide Yard Sale is happening on April 12th. The last day to register to be included on the map is April 4th. It's one of my favorite events of the year, so.
Very good, thank you. First item on the agenda, the Community Preservation Committee presentation of the FY26 recommendations to town meeting. Rachel Collins, Chairwoman of the Community Preservation Committee.
Hi there. I'm going to give a little bit of background on the CPA, just so folks that aren't familiar can have some of that background. The Community Preservation Act is a smart growth tool that helps communities preserve open space and historic sites, create affordable housing, and develop outdoor recreational facilities. Property taxes traditionally fund the day-to-day operating needs of safety, health, schools, roads, maintenance, and more. But until CPA was enacted, there was no steady funding source for preserving and improving a community's character and quality of life. The Community Preservation Act gives the community the funds needed to control its future. Cities and towns that adopt the CPA generate monies from their local community preservation funds through the implementation of a local CPA property tax surcharge of up to 3%, and through the receipt of annual matching of funds at variable rates from a statewide CPA trust fund created by the Act. In Abington, we adopted the CPA in 2016, and our surcharge is 1.5%, and that has been able to fund over 60 community-based projects. The committee is made up of members from Park and Rec, Planning Board, Historical Commission, Affordable Housing Trust, Conservation, and interested community members. We typically meet 2 times a month from August, September time through January and February to discuss interested projects with community members. The committee holds its fiduciary responsibilities in high regard. Caution is taken to ensure funds are carried over year to year. The CPA requires that communities spend or set aside for future spending a minimum of 10% of their annual CPA revenues for each of the 3 following categories: open space recreation, historic preservation, and community housing. The remaining 70% of the funds are undesignated and can be used for any allowable projects in any of the CPA categories. This gives each community tremendous flexibility to determine its own priorities. So, this year, the projects that have come to us through community members, as well as some of the different town committees, include a transfer of funds to the Affordable Housing Trust so that they can help build their trust. So when there are available things for them to do, they will have the money to be able to jump right on that and make that happen. There's money allotted for the Green Wave Connector Trail, which is a trail coming out right up here, out to the Hancock Street neighborhood, and that is coming out of the Open Space Recreation bucket. Griffin's Dairy came to us with funds to finish finalizing putting their fencing up, again, out of Open Space and Recreation. Last year and this year, we have had money for the Green Street Playground. We know that that's an extremely well-used community park and was in much need of repair. So there's money out of Recreation for that. Updating the Island Grove Snack Shack, and then the street hockey court and playground out at Arnold Park. Additionally, because of some money that we had in reserves from last year, there's also money that for the softball fields update, and there is a bond on the Memorial Field project. So the minimums from that, and then money that isn't being used this year. There are no historical projects that came to us, so that money will be set aside for them if they come to us with a bigger project in the future. That's a lot I threw at you.
Very good. So, and just from a procedural standpoint, town meeting can either approve or disapprove. They don't have the right to amend the community preservation. So the
Correct.
Town meeting cannot substitute their judgment for the
Nope,
community
they are
preservation.
welcome to come to any of our meetings. They're all open, as well as holding, we actually hold a specific meeting for people to come and find out more about the project. So if they want to come to those, they're welcome to. But on the floor of town meeting, it's a yay or nay for the whole bucket.
Exactly. Very good. Any questions from members of the board? You've, very good, very concise report, and clearly you've done your homework, and we'll be taking our vote later on to, I think the Finance Committee's already recommended approval of your article, and we'll be considering that this evening as well.
Okay.
So,
Any questions I can answer before I go? I do need to take off for another meeting, so
No,
if you
no
had any
problem. Any
questions,
questions?
I'm happy to answer them now, but if not, Kelly, you'll have to answer for us.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Thank
thanks
you.
very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, the DPW Director, John Stone. If you could give us your department update, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Kind of have a slideshow, if that's okay? Sure. I'll try to breeze through it pretty fast. Just an overview of what we have ongoing, upcoming, in the past, maybe a couple things we hope to do. So I'll just get going on that. I'm going to start with the intersections that we're working on. Back in around 2021, Old Colony Planning Council did a survey of all the intersections in the town of Abington to see which ones, like the high crash clusters, areas, and this is the actual spreadsheet here. As you can see, the first one is Randolph, Chestnut, and Old Randolph, which I'll address in a couple minutes. The second one is Route 123 at Route 18 at Sub Galley. The state's going to be taking care of that one because it's state-owned. They have a project slated for about 2028, I would say, on that. And then Hancock and Chestnut, the one that everyone talks about, is the third worst intersection in town. And I'll get to that in a couple minutes. And what else? Groveland and Linwood, the state just come out with a new program to maybe install four-way stops at certain intersections that meet certain criteria. It would have to be a vote of this board after they do the research. We'll see if that what comes out of that. But that's the fourth most dangerous intersection in town, according to this survey. So the first one we have is Hancock Street at Chestnut Street. We've been working on this for about 10 years, I'd say, or maybe 9. Third most dangerous intersection in town. The intersection didn't meet the warrant criteria for signalization, so we opted for a roundabout, and the Selectmen approved it in 2016. This is going to be at no direct cost to the Abington taxpayers. It's being funded through the state's TIP program. It's a federally and state-funded program to make intersections in the state and the country safer. So this project will be running us about $7 million, not us, but it's going to cost about $7 million. And bid opening is slated for probably September of this year, with construction beginning next year, or maybe around this time next year, hopefully. So that's the first one.
John, on any project that's on the tip, do you know if any of that includes federal funding?
Yes,
It does.
it definitely does. And here's a better overview of the intersection, the roundabout. It's gonna have, it's gonna be safer for pedestrians, with modified crosswalks, refuge islands, so if like you're walking across one of the approaches, you have a place to stand in the middle of the intersection without getting run over. It's gonna have bicycle accommodations, and we're gonna shave the hill down about 3 feet and build up the intersection about 2 feet to make that hill less dramatic and safer. That's the gist of that. We're thinking the project's gonna take about 2 years, and it's being designed by environmental partners, and they're at 100% completion, almost. And then the bidding process will start. And here's the schedule, tentative, things can change, but this is the last page of the schedule. The schedule was 7 pages long, I didn't want to overwhelm everybody, but this will all be up on the website if anyone wants to take a further look at it. But this is the last page of the schedule. Last year, we did the Washington Street sidewalk, which many of you are probably already aware. That was a grant through the Complete Streets program. That was our second round of funding through that program. It was a $500,000 grant and created 2,000 feet of concrete sidewalk and granite curbing, along with bicycle accommodations, ADA compliant curb ramps, and new striping. I think, in paving, I think it came out nice. I don't know if any of you...
It's beautiful.
Yeah. We'd like to continue on with that further down as time goes on, either through grants or if we're better situated financially in the future, would be, a lot of people use it. So that one's complete. Next up, Washington Street, Adams Street, and Shaw Ave. We've been trying through a couple of different programs to get a grant for this intersection, and this year we applied through the Shared Streets and Spaces grant offered by the state. We and our designers met with the state via a Zoom conference, and we think we have a good chance at getting this grant. Although this intersection wasn't on the OCPC's list of most dangerous intersections, I think it is. I think that anyone that has driven it knows that it's a dangerous intersection. So we're very hopeful that we get that this summer. And there's the picture of how current conditions and what we'd like to go to. Again, with ADA compliant curb ramps, better pedestrian accommodations. The grant also included 400 feet of sidewalk, continuing what we did there through the Complete Streets grant. So if we get that, that'll be a good addition for the town, and it'll make it a lot safer right there. Next is the Randolph Street, Chestnut Street, and Old Randolph Street intersection. This is the most dangerous intersection in town according to OCPC survey. We got this program through the TIP, so no direct cost to the Abington taxpayers, aside for design, which was funded through town meeting a couple of years back. I think might have been last year. But aside from that, there's no direct cost to the Abington taxpayers. This particular intersection did meet the warrants for a traffic signal, so that's what we're gonna go with. There'll be some geometric realignment to the intersection to make it safer, more visible for approaching vehicles and pedestrians and everything of that nature. This one is slated to go out to bid a year from September. My only worry is it's kind of close with the other one, but they're going to be safer when they're done. And no direct cost to the taxpayers of Abington. And here it is. It's not the best picture here, but there'll be a left turn arrow onto Old Randolph down to Thicket Street. There'll be ADA compliant curb ramps. There'll be refuge islands for pedestrians, some new sidewalk, bicycle accommodations, which we have to put in now if we're getting any type of grant. You have to accommodate bicyclists if you want the grant. So that's slated for federal fiscal year September 2027 if everything goes according to plan. So we're taking care of the top 3 intersections in town. Worst intersection. There's the last page of that schedule. Again, this schedule's 6 pages long. I only printed out the last one. But the rest is on the website if anyone wants to take a look at it. But we're into it now. We're into the process of, we're about 75% design right now on this, so. Center Ave Bridge, the state inspects all bridges in the state, either whether they're town-owned or state-owned, to make sure they're safe for motorists and anyone else that uses the bridge. They found that this Center Ave Bridge had deficiencies, not as bad as the Central Street Bridge, but needed rehab. So we applied for a grant through the state's municipal small bridge program for design, and we got that grant for $100,000, designed it. Then we applied for a grant for construction of the bridge, and we got that grant. We went out to bid last year, and we had no bidders, not a one. So we're gonna go again this year. So far, 12 companies have pulled the plans, which means they're interested. So hopefully we get that. That won't be as intrusive as the Central Street Bridge. We're not replacing beams or even the deck. It's just more rehab. But we'll get, it will make it safer for everybody. So hopefully, again, this was no cost to the taxpayers. So hopefully we get some bids and construction can take place this summer. We won't have to close the bridge. It will be probably one lane at a time. So there won't be any traffic backups of like major ones anyway. And here's the actual inspection that the state performs, some pictures. And there's a overview of it. We haven't rated our roads yet this year. We haven't had the time. But this is a list on the left, top left of roads we paved last year. Bottom left is roads we'd like to pave whenever we can. Summer Street sidewalk, we were awarded a grant through the Community One Stop for Growth Program in October. That should say 24, I think, yeah. In October. There's a gap on Summer Street between Walnut and Progress where there is no sidewalk. And you have people walking to the T, walking down the middle of the road. So that's what prompted this application. So we got a $500,000 grant for permitting and design, and after that, we'll apply for a construction grant.
John, is that where all the pink wetland flags are all?
Yes, sir.
on the road?
Yes, sir. And you'll see surveyors out there, they were out there. But again, this is a grant, so, and it'll be a good addition and a safer addition for the town, anyone that uses the T. So we have that coming up. Snow and ice, this is a rundown of what we had this year. I think we went out about 20-something times, maybe 20 times. 5 of them were plow events, the rest of them were salting. When I say plow event, it's salt and plow. Some of them were strictly salting events. Most of them were salting events. But that's where we stand here. Anyone have any questions on anything? Good? Okay. This is our fleet list. We're getting up to speed on a couple of years back before Scott got here. We were in dire straits equipment-wise. We now have a lot safer equipment for the guys to use. So we're very thankful for that. And here's the list right here, if anyone wants to take a look at it. We do have some stuff coming up, not this year, maybe next year, that we might have to replace, but it's been the Finance Committee, Scott, this board, and everyone else has provided us with safe equipment for the guys, so it's much appreciated. That's the second page. Here's a list of trees we removed in 2024. Let's see. I'd like to provide the SOAR rate survey to show where we stand SOAR rate-wise. We're in the bottom third of participating communities, so we're doing pretty good there. I like to provide this every year to you guys and the Finance Committee. And here is where we stand SOAR capacity-wise. We're allotted 1.5 million gallons a day of SOAR conveyed to the city of Brockton. That's based on a 365-day rolling average. We're currently at 1.071. So we still have 430,000 gallons or so of capacity available. And for, it gives the town flexibility for whatever they might want to do, any projects. So we're doing good there. And in Rockland, we're allotted 110,000 gallons a day, and we're about 62 and a half per day. So we're doing good there. Walnut Street Pump Station, you'll see some work going on at Walnut Street where our sewer pump station is, one of our 13 sewer pump stations is, that one's 35 years old, and over time, through the sewer rates, we want to upgrade some of these pump stations that are getting old. We're just doing our due diligence. That'll be funded through the sewer and designated. So this one will be taking place this summer. You'll see a lot of activity up there. We're running three-phase electricity to the pump station so we can get rid of the phase converter, which is very noisy to the neighbors. So that'll be a good project for the town. And then we have, this is a list of we have to perform certain activities under the stormwater permit. They're called best management practices. This is a list of some of the items we have to take care of. It's just the same stuff we have to do every year. Part of under the MS4 permit, we're required to install 2 demonstrative rain gardens, one in each end of town. So we're working on that as well. It's called like a demonstration project, so like kids can go and see the rain garden and see what's going on with the rain garden, teaching moments. We have to do it per the contract. So that'll be upcoming, and that's in here too, if anyone wants to take a look at it. This is DPW workforce by town. I like to provide this every year. I know we're not in good shape this year financially, but if the second page of this is the interesting part, we're well below average per capita as it comes to workforce, with 4.5 people or so per 5,000 residents. So we're way down there. We need help bad. I know this isn't the year, and probably next year is not the year, but it has to be made a priority at some point. We're struggling to get things done, and we find it hard to find time to train the guys, the people, everybody. So it's becoming a problem. We're at the point now if more is added to our plate, something has to come off it, or we're paying overtime. It's one or the other. There's no other option. So that's that. Now I'm going to ask Kelly to come up and talk about recreation.
Alright, so I just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown or update on how recreation's doing. So just some interesting things with Eager Beaver and Island Grove memberships. You can see Eager Beaver has been going up substantially over the last 10 years. Except for COVID, Island Grove memberships have gone down substantially, except in COVID, they went up a lot. The total revenue has steadily increased, again, except for COVID years. So even though we have been getting a pretty decent amount of revenue in, and it's been increasing, of course, everything else is increasing in price as well. So just some things that we are trying to do to help alleviate costs a little bit is changing pool hours. This is to better fit what the community has kind of used the pool for, trending wise. We see them coming later at night adverse to early mornings like they used to. So we're hoping to change the pool hours so that way when the lifeguards are there, it's making sense for the money we're paying them. Switching to an outside vendor for swim lessons. This will mean that we don't have to have so many lifeguards on first thing in the morning and then have a big gap in between that and when camp comes to swim. We have moved all camp field trips to at-camp activities because the buses were very expensive and things have just been expensive to take them on field trips. We are increasing Eager Beaver fees steadily but slowly to match other towns, and we are trying to balance making sure that it's still affordable to residents, but making sure that we also have enough to cover everything we need. And then working towards updating facilities so that way people want to come and use the park. And then just something to note is, so Eager Beaver back in 2014 used to be about 45% of our total revenue. It is now about 66%. So we really rely on the fees we are getting from that program. And then about a month ago, we put out a recreation survey to see kind of what people were interested in. This will be out on the town website for people to look at all the results. But just some things to kind of note here is a lot of people wanted to see a teen center. We had a lot of requests for things like gardening classes, playground groups, kind of outdoor groups for kids. For adults, we had a lot of yoga, paint night, Zumba, those kind of things. But I would say by far the most requests we saw were for some sort of community center, teen center, something along those lines.
And thank you, Kelly. This is what we asked for FY '26 in the capital plan. I don't know, I know there's not a lot of money for things. The paint machine, though, we desperately need a paint machine to line the football fields, the baseball fields. The current one we're using is pushing 14 years old, and it's failing all the time. We're spending more time fixing it than painting the fields. And then there's some other items that we could use going forward. And that's it, that's all we have.
John, if I could, just has MassDOT said anything or given any guidance on some of the projects that we have, specifically the ones that are ready to go for construction, on anything as far as the federal funds go, where there's been talk in Washington of cutting a lot, and I just don't know whether that's trickled down yet?
Not a thing, Kevin. Nothing from, we have meetings every day about these projects, and we have nothing.
They haven't, okay.
Nothing.
Well, that's good news then. Very good. Any questions for Judd?
Thank you so much.
John,
Thank you.
who's going to be overseeing those two intersections? MassDOT or is this?
Yeah, MassDOT, they'll have a person there every day.
Yep.
They'll order the details. It's our project, but they're gonna run it.
Awesome.
As always, an amazing presentation, and your crew does so
Oh,
much
thank you.
work in this small little town.
Thank
that
you.
has so many roads, so just,
Yeah, we have the best people.
yeah.
Just don't have enough of them someday, though.
Yeah. Especially with the move. I know how much
Yeah.
time that's
Yeah.
gonna take, so
Yes.
Yeah, no, we're all right. We'll get it
we
done.
we appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks
Thanks,
so much.
Judd.
Thanks, Kelly,
Thank
for
you.
your presentation.
Okay, next item on the agenda, minutes of the March 10th. Is there a motion?
Motion to
Make a
approve?
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
fight over it.
If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, unanimous. Item number 2, trash-free information meeting. Just for the benefit of the public, there'll be an informational meeting on Wednesday, March 26th at 6 PM at the Senior Center, and Saturday, March 29th, 10:30 a.m. at the library, for people that have questions concerning the proposed trash fee proposal that will be before town meeting on April 7th. You're welcome to come. There'll be staff there and a presentation on what the proposal would be. Just very quickly, the town of Abington appropriates $1.2 million in waste management costs. Our costs have gone up about $500,000 in the last few years, which is about a 56% increase. The proposal is the first year of FY '26, will start July 1st, is that the town will fund it 100%, and then incrementally in years 2, 3, 4, and 5, 75% town funded, 25% funded by a fee structure, which would be $24.26 a quarter per household, but the senior rate of $12.13, then 50%, 25%, and then finally full funding at $97 a quarter, beginning July 1st of 2029, and a senior rate of $48.52. So if you have questions, please go to those meetings. There'll be more information. The town manager will be doing a cable program on it, and then, of course, the question will come for town meetings, so please educate yourself on that. If you have any questions, feel free to come to those meetings, and then we hope to see you at town meeting as we discuss and debate and vote on that matter. Item number 3, the review the ballot questions that will be on the annual town election for April 26th. There are 2 ballot questions on the ballot for April 26th. One, if you recall, we had the question in January that shall the town, it was a district-wide election for South Shore VOTEC. The matter passed in all communities in the vocational district, including Abington, and we had said at that time, if the matter passes, Abington will have to take a second vote in order to exclude that portion of the debt to build a new vocational high school, because the town does not have the wherewithal to come up with that within its current budget. That question will be on the ballot as question 1. And then secondly, on question 2, will be to approve charter amendments that were approved at the last town meeting. The Charter Review Committee had recommended, it was, they held hearings, it was debated at town meeting, and it was voted on all aspects, and this is the last piece of that puzzle. And the amendments, in some cases, just to clean up stuff and to make matters more defined in terms of what official responsibilities are, change the name of the Board of Selectmen to the Select Board, and the most important one, I believe, is the removing the police department from civil service, consistent with the police union collective bargaining agreement. And this would grandfather the current officers that were hired under civil service, but allow the chief to be able to hire people off of exams that he has already put out there. So we would just ask the people to consider that earnestly as you go down and vote on April 26th. Next item, the town manager report on the FY26 budget process and discussion and votes on a policy as it relates to the budget process. I'll first turn it over to the town manager, and then we can go from there.
We have got ourselves down to a balanced budget that we're prepared to put forward at town meeting. Unfortunately, this has probably been one of the most difficult budget years that I've ever been involved in, and we've had to make some pretty tough decisions regarding that leading up to town meeting. And some of those required us deciding on how we're going to fund this with a level service budget. We are recommending, or at least I'm recommending, that we use a small portion of stabilization money and some free cash to balance this budget, which is something that we typically would not do. However, these are very difficult times, and I think we have to do it. As we said, we had multiple requests, and you just heard from the DPW director and some of the issues that they are facing as far as manpower in getting our services done and services completed for the community, and it's getting more and more difficult to do that. For example, even just what's happening with our trash fees. There are other items within the budget that are also, just pushing us up. We're a victim of tough times in the economy, just like everybody is at home, with, just skyrocketing costs. So, like I said, we do have a balanced budget. I think going forward, we're going to make even some more difficult decisions. I think we are probably going to have to start much earlier as we go forward for the FY26 budget, because I just don't believe, using one-time funds is not a sustainable solution. This board and other boards have been working hard, doing everything we can as far as selling properties and selling surplus equipment, doing whatever it is that is possible to make sure that we're getting as much money as we can and stretching it as far as we can. But it's been, like I said, a very difficult year.
And if I could, I just want to reiterate the discussion we had at the last meeting in terms of next year as well. We've been fortunate. We're one of the fewer towns around us in the region that has been fortunate to be able to cobble together a budget this year without having to go for an override. Just around us, Milton is going for a $9.5 million override. Duxbury had requested $5.8 million. That just failed. at the ballot on Saturday. Hanson's going for a $3 million override, Norwell, $4.1 million, Hanover, $3.5 million, Whitman, $2.5 million. So this is what's coming down the pike for us next year. Hence the reason, as I've indicated at our meetings, we're beginning the planning process, and we have to go into it eyes wide open, because we can't wait till next year to turn around and just say, oh boy, it's here, now what do we do? Hence the reason we've been very active in looking at, as the town manager just mentioned, looking at liquidating some of the land that we have, so we can have money coming in for next year, and trying to do anything feasibly possible to ease that burden. And we're not in this alone. I mean, clearly, if you look at the towns around us, I just said, and if you look at
I'm gonna get you.
in what's going on in Washington right now, the move afoot is clearly to do cuts, and that extends also to the UK and Britain. They're going through the same exact thing. So it's, the pendulum swings, and the old story is you got to know when to duck when that pendulum swings, and unfortunately, I think we're coming up against that. One of the things we indicated and voted at the last meeting that I had brought up the issue of the Pioneer Institute had done a study on outsourcing some town services, and we had directed the town manager to look at that and look at specifically town hall to see what services could possibly be outsourced, so that we're looking at things differently, so as we're preparing for next year, next fiscal year. And further to that question, I think we have to begin the process now. I mean, as selectmen, we were elected to lead, not to follow. And in my estimation, I think we have to take the lead now and be prepared for the budget preparation process. And for that reason, I'm going to make a motion, the chair, by his own motion, is going to move that it be the policy of the Board of Selectmen that the town manager is hereby directed to amend the current FY26 operating budget in the Selectmen's office to reduce the employees in said office by 1, so as to request funding only for 2 full-time employees, and to make the appropriate adjustments in the requested budget forthwith, and transmit the same to the Finance Committee prior to the presentation to the annual town meeting. I'm going to make that as a motion. If there's a second, we can have discussion on it.
I'll second it. I've been saying also, we're going to be in dire financial straits in the future. We're trying to get ahead of the curve. And this is the start of it, and we're starting in our own department. So that's our thought process on this.
And I think we have to. There's no question. We cannot hide our heads in the sand. We have to lead. And, you know, part of the leading process is to, okay, we've got to realize that on our own and step up and be mindful that we have to begin that process now. And we begin that process now in our own office. By Labor Day, I envision the town manager coming back to us with more suggestions that we will perhaps enact in the current fiscal year. And then going into the budget year next year, it's not going to be pretty. And as I said before, I think the demographics of the town have changed, society has changed, and we're going to find ourselves having, at least in my estimation, having to prioritize our spending in terms of what are the priority departments. It's unfortunate, but this is where we are, folks. And, you know, we can't keep going asking for more tax money, because you can clearly see the people can't afford it, and that's evidence of the results that are starting to come back in these surrounding towns. I'll be interested to see how these overrides fare in these other communities around us, but we really do have to begin that process, and we have to be serious about it. So the motion made and seconded
Wait,
is the
sorry,
discussion.
can you, yeah, because I don't have the wording in front of me, so trying to comprehend what you said.
We'd eliminate one position.
So you're looking to reduce the workforce of the town manager office?
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify before yep, okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, question comes on the motion. All those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Unanimous vote. Okay, as it relates to the overall budget process, I just wanted to say, too, in addition, I should have said prior to, the problem we have clearly is that, as Scott had mentioned, we're using one-time revenues, which is not the ideal thing to do, but here we are. Also, state aid has only gone up right in this current fiscal year 1.6%, which is down from a high of a couple of years ago of 17.9%. So we're really, and that's no reflective on anybody, it's a reflection of the times. The state revenues aren't coming in, so correspondingly, they cannot, re-channel that to state aid. So again, that's what the crystal ball's saying. We have to be prepared for it, and I just want to be able to say that we've done everything feasibly possible, so when we get to town meeting and the budget process, and I've been through this type of a situation twice. It isn't pretty, and people's tempers sometimes flare, and I just want everybody to understand that we're beginning the process to plan to do this. And with that said, here we are.
And it's not lightly, it's not a light decision that we...
Oh, God, no,
I
no.
mean, the board here has been round and round trying to figure out how we're going to make it to next year, how to budget. It takes a lot of work. So I commend our chairman and our town manager and our finance committee and everybody else who's involved. It's tough.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is discussion and vote to accept the deed of 20-plus acres of land donated by the Truffin family. You have before you the substance of the deed that'll be on the warrant for the annual town meeting. The Truffin, Larry Truffin, is donating land in on or about Ashland Street that abuts Strawberry Valley Golf Course, which was formerly the Truffin family farm, and he's looking to donate that. The town would have to, by 2/3 vote, accept that as a gift, and there's money to pay for his reimbursement of his legal costs for him to deal with the donation of the land. You've had the chance to look at the deed. If there's, town council has looked at it, refined it, and it's in its final form. I will accept a motion to accept approval of the deed and transmission to town meeting.
Motion to approve the deed and transmission to town meeting to accept the donation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous vote.
Wait,
Next,
question, does this come with a house too, or no?
no. That's another discussion. The discussion and vote of the Selectmen's recommendations for articles for the warrant for the April 7th town meeting. If I could, we're going to take these in order. You've had the warrant before you. You've had a chance to look at it, add any questions. A lot of it's pretty straightforward, to be quite frank with you. If you had any questions, you've had the opportunity to discuss the same with the town manager. First question comes on Article 1, Annual Funding of Student Transportation, $17,490. Finance Committee recommends in favor. Chair, by his own motion, moves that the Selectmen recommend favorable action. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, unanimous vote. Article 2, Health Imperative Funding, $5,000. Finance Committee recommends approval. Chair, by his own motion, recommends favorable action. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous. Article 3, Act of the South Shore Funding in the amount of $2,500. Finance Committee recommends favorable action. The chair, by his own motion, recommends favorable action. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous. Article 4, matching grant funding, $25,000. Finance Committee recommends approval. Chair, by his own motion, recommends favorable action by the Selectmen. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous. Article 5, St. Patrick's Day Parade, overtime and details, $20,000. Finance Committee recommends voting in favor. Chair by his own motion recommends Selectmen favorable action. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, unanimous. Article 6, establish a residential waste pickup and hauling enterprise fund. Finance Committee recommends favorable action. Chair by his own motion recommends Selectmen give favorable action. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, unanimous. Article 7, FY26 operating budget. Finance Committee will be taking that vote Wednesday evening, but subsequent to the vote that we've just taken as far as our budget's concerned and the town manager's recommendation on the budget, because the final budget, final figures for health insurance just came in today, hence the reason Finance Committee didn't vote on it the other evening. I would, Chair moves favorable action based on the town manager's recommendation, encapsulating of which the vote that we just took on our own budget. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous vote. Article 8, funding of the capital plan. The only thing the Finance Committee was waiting on that was the distribution of free cash and stabilization money, which the town manager is recommending, and that has been finalized. Chair by his own motion recommends favorable action based on the town manager's recommendation. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, unanimous vote. Article 9, community preservation budget. Finance Committee recommends favorable action. Chair by his own motion recommends Selectmen give favorable action. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, unanimous. Article 10, payment of sick leave buyback for the Water Department employees. Finance Committee recommends favorable action. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I make,
We knew what you wanted.
I make a motion that we approve favorable action. There's a second. Any
Second.
discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, unanimous. Article 11, FY23 opioid settlement housekeeping, $106,161.85 from free cash. This has to go per the settlement agreement. Finance Committee recommends favorable action. Chair by his own motion recommends Selectmen give favorable action. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, unanimous. Article 12, the Hillside Cemetery. We've discussed this. This is the West Abington Cemetery. This would appropriate $1,000 for the care and custody of the veterans' lots that are located for the cemetery, which is inclusive of veterans that are located in the cemetery. Finance Committee recommends favorable action. Chair by his own motion recommends favorable action from the Selectmen. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous vote. Article 13, acceptance of a gift of 20 plus or minus acres land from the Truford family and to appropriate $35,000 for the purposes of that. Finance Committee recommends favorable action. Chair by his own motion recommends favorable action. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous. Okay, Article 14. Originally, we had submitted a article for us to sell the property at 22 Bedford Street, which was on the golf course land. Town Council has opined that because this is actually what they call Article 97 land, Article 97 under the state constitution requires that any land that's so designated must receive a 2/3 vote of both the House of Representatives, the Senate, and be signed by the governor. It is a long, involved process. I would suggest that we not sell the house, that we keep the land, reinsert the article to demolish the house and keep it with the Strawberry Valley Golf Course Committee. In order to do so, question first would come on reconsideration of our previous vote. So I will make a motion as chair to reconsider the Article 14 by the action of which we submitted the article to sell the property, ask for a second. If reconsideration prevails, we will then move to the question of reinserting the language to demolish the house. Is there a second?
I'll second.
For reconsideration. Question on reconsideration's been made and seconded.
You get your lot.
Any discussion on reconsideration? If not, all those in favor of reconsideration kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, reconsideration is considered, pending of which the motion now will be from the chair to substitute the article for the property to be demolished, the funds of which to come from the Strawberry Valley Golf Course Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any and attached to that motion is that the selectmen would recommend favorable action.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, unanimous vote. Article 15, the Chestnut Hancock Street Improvement Project. You've just heard the presentation from the DPW director. This is required for certain land takings as well. Finance Committee recommends in favor. Chair by his own motion recommends favorable action on Article 15. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, unanimous. Article 16, South Shore Vocational Technical High School Agreement Amendment. This is a matter that was before the special town meeting in, whenever we had it, September?
December.
November, someplace, E-I-E-I-O.
Oh, yeah, it was.
And we did not get a quorum. We are back at it. This would allow the South Shore agreement to be amended. It's already been approved in the district town, so in effect, it's in agreement. However, Abington should take a vote on this. Finance Committee recommends favorable action. Chair by his own motion recommends Selectmen take favorable action. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, unanimous vote. Article 17, establishment of a revolving fund for the EV charging station's maintenance. Finance Committee recommends favor. Chair by his own motion recommends Selectmen take favorable action. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, unanimous. Article 18, false alarm bylaw. The Finance Committee recommends in favor. Chair by his own motion recommends favorable action on Article 18. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous. Article 19, the town meeting quorum. This, as you recall, we had submitted a bylaw request for the quorum to be 0. I've had some discussions with the chairman of the Finance Committee in regards to this. Finance Committee had discussed about 100 or 75. I had suggested to the Finance Committee chairman that maybe we meet in the middle at 75. I said I would bring that back to our board, and he would bring the same back to this board, so...
I'll make a motion for 75 since I made the motion for 0.
Okay, so we...
I'll reconsider the
Yeah.
0 vote.
So first action comes, motion to reconsider Article 19 by Mr. Woods. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded for reconsideration. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, reconsideration prevails. Question now comes on inserting the number of 75 in place thereof of 0. Mr. Woods?
Motion on 75.
We'll make it 75. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded with the report that the Selectmen recommend favorable action at 75. It's been seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous vote. Accessory dwelling unit zoning bylaw, Finance Committee recommends favorable action. Is there, chair by his own motion, will recommend favorable action. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous. I do, however, would like the town manager to get for me a certification from the department head of the assessing office to indicate that, just so I have it in writing, and if anybody asks at town meeting, we have it, that any assessing of property is only done if somebody were to actually take out a certificate of occupancy is issued and a building permit. Just because the land is rezoned, it doesn't mean that it will be assessed as that. So could you kindly take care of that, please?
Will do.
Article 21, to delete accessory apartments from the zoning use chart. Finance Committee has deferred to the planning board. Generally, on these, we have in the past deferred to the planning board. What's the pleasure of the board? If that's the case, I would say on Articles 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25, we would defer to the planning board.
Defer to the planning board.
Okay, is there a motion to do so on all those
I'll make a
articles?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to defer to the planning board.
What's that?
And also Article 20, when you just did.
Yeah.
No, they recommended favorable action.
Yes. Finance Committee
Yeah,
recommended.
we just recommended favorable action, too.
Anything else, Mr. Riley?
Try to edit as you go.
I didn't see
So
on there.
that, okay, question comes on that motion. All those in favor of deferring to the planning board on 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25, kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, unanimous vote. We do have one more article we're adding to decrease the snow and ice deficit by $200,000 that we're going to take from free cash that will be inserted in the warrant. So question comes on inserting that article in the warrant as housekeeping and to recommend favorable action on that as Article 26. Is there a motion?
Make motion?
Is there a second? Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous vote. All righty.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2 used article license renewals that are pending.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor kindly signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous. Just to, for the benefit of the members of the board, and for the public, again, I want to remind everybody that the annual town meeting is Monday, April 7th, beginning at 7 p.m. Selectmen will meet at 5:30 p.m. that night at the high school town front to do some housekeeping items. So please, we need a quorum of 150. We beg of you to please come out, give us a couple hours of your time. And the warrant is up on the website. Please avail yourself of the educational opportunities to either come to the informational sessions that are being planned on the trash, or certainly the town manager will have his program on cable. You can watch that, or all the information is up on the website. So please take the time to look at that and come with your questions. In addition, I just want to remind the members of the board, we did have, again, for the treasurer needs our vote, a very formal technical to borrow money. It has to be done within a certain period of time once the bonds go out to market. So I've asked if at least 3 of us can be here on Thursday, April 17th at 9:30 a.m. with the treasurer just to sign those documents. It'll take all of 3 minutes to do. So just be mindful of that. And other than that, there being no further business.
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor of adjourning kindly signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, unanimous. We stand adjourned at 5:58 p.m. Good evening.
I like